So clipping masks and type in Photoshop are a really fun way to um, create a quick message for your viewer. So let's go ahead and jump in and practice this. So we're going to be practicing clipping masks using type. So open up by going to File, Open. I want you to open up an image called water.jpg, and you should have three other images available to you: Santa Monica, a desert, and balloons that you can play around with after. But first, I want you to open up water. And we have this lovely water image. Look in your layers panel. If you don't have it open, you'll see that this is called a background layer right now, and that there's a lock icon next to it. So the first thing that I want you to do is unlock your background layer, which will create it, turn it into a layer, just a nice floating layer. And when you do that, when you unlock it, it turns into layer 0. And I want you to name this layer image. The next thing that we're going to do is I want you to grab your text tool, your type tool in your tool panel, and I want you to write the word water. So I clicked and I'm going to write the word water. I want you to now notice that in your layers panel, you have a type layer named water. And I want you to highlight this, and in your character panel, I want you to go ahead and make it really, really big. Like I'm going to make this 200 points, maybe even bigger, maybe like 300 points. Really, really big. And I'm going to go ahead and pick a nice heavyweight font. So I'm going to grab, just go ahead, maybe I'll just go straight up Arial and we'll make it Arial bold. So I got a nice heavy font that says water. And I also want you to go ahead and just make the color white. So in your character panel, you'll see there's a color box. I'm going to click on that color box and I'm just going to go ahead and pick white for now. It doesn't matter so much. I just want it for the purpose of this tutorial to be white. All right, so you've got two layers in your layers panel. And I want you to change the stacking order. So that means I want you to move your type water layer below your image so that you can't see it. And then this is where it gets fun. This is where we're going to create a clipping mask. So there's two ways to create a clipping mask. Let me show you the breadcrumb way first. You can go up to, click on your, click on your water image. First, you got to make sure you have the right layer selected. So you've got the image, water image selected. And I want you to go up to Layer, Create Clipping Mask. And this is when what a clipping mask does is it's using the letters from the word water, and it's kind of knocking out everything else and having that picture live inside those letters. So it's really cool. It's a nice way to have the water image inside the water letters. And the cool thing about this too is it's still editable. So if I highlight my water word with my type tool, I could type in like blue water if I wanted. And it's still editable, so you didn't have to rasterize this. Also, if you click within here with your move tool, you can move the water image around and kind of position, maybe you want a certain part of it showing through the letters. But the big thing I want you to notice here is you know that a clipping mask has been made because in your image thumbnail in your layers panel, you'll see there's this little tiny arrow on the left pointing down. And what this is saying is it's saying there is a clipping mask being created with this water image that is working with this specific blue water type layer. So let me show you. I think I can get rid of my clipping mask. I'm going to right click on my image. I'm going to say release clipping mask because I wanted to show you one other way to make a clipping mask. So remember, you have your image selected. You go up to Layer, Create Clipping Mask. But there's another kind of fun way to do it. And it's by holding down the Option key on your keyboard And if you hover with your mouse between the two layers that you want to create a clipping mask, you'll see the little arrow pointing down appear. So I'm just hovering, I'm not clicking my mouse, but as I hover between those two layers, holding the Option key, I can quickly create a clipping mask that way too. It's no problem if you can't remember that. You can always go up to Layer, Create Clipping Mask, but that's kind of a fun way to create a quick clipping mask. What you can do too is you can link these together so that they function together as a layer by highlighting them both, holding the Shift key, and holding down the link icon so that they can move around together as a unit. If you unlink them and you click on them, you're just gonna and you just click on one or the other, it's just gonna move the image. So if you want to move the image and the type together, I recommend linking them and then moving them around. And then I have a few other images I wanted you to play around with in that folder. For example, Santa Monica, JPEG. It's a nice picture of our pier. I want you to practice, adjusting this image first with a few filters. Like I'm going to unlock the layer. I'm going to apply maybe a hue and saturation adjustment layer to this. Make it a little more saturated. Change the hue, something fun. So apply a couple different adjustment layers. Trying to change the effect of it. And then go ahead and type in something like Santa Monica. And then remember, you need to move, oops, need to update my Flash player apparently. You need to move your type layer below the image. And then you can either do, with the image selected, you can go to Layer, Create Clipping Mask, or you can hold down the Option key and hover between these two and create a clipping mask that way too. And then remember, I can always move my image around, and then I can go ahead and link the two so that they function as a unit. So that's clipping masks and type, which I highly suggest you might use for your homework.